Good.
Good?
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I am Deb with Top Weddings, and we are going to, are we good?
Yeah.
Just checking everything technical. If anybody is watching live, if you can let us know if you can hear us okay, that would be phenomenal.
I'll just
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
copy and paste it. You're good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we are so excited you're here. And today we are going to be talking with Misty with Misty Willinger Events. First, we're just going to tell you a little bit of information as far as this live. So we are going to, of course, we're live on Facebook and Instagram. And then also we are live in our 417 Engaged couples group, which has been so incredibly exciting. We have over 40 couples already in there, and which
Awesome.
has been phenomenal. And so many great, just great and encouraging things happening in that group. So it's been really, really fun. So we're going to cover one topic with Misty, and then we will go into the group to finish the rest of the topics. So we have two others that we're going to be covering with her, and we are so excited to have her here. Our last live last week with Celia was amazing, and but we are incredibly excited to have Misty here today. So I'm going to flip through this just to make sure that I'm covering everything. So if you have not already joined the Facebook group, make sure that you join. You can, as long as you're engaged in the 417 area, you can join that group, and we would love to have you. If you want information about it, if you write it in the comments, one of the girls will message you, PM you, DM you, whatever it's called, and get you that information. We'll get you a link, or you can actually go to Facebook and type in 417 Engaged couples, and you'll find it that way as well. So, do we have some people on?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
We have lots of people on.
Okay, so just to recap, in case you just joined us, I am Deb with Top Weddings, and the reason why we're here is because when we started Top Weddings a few months ago, all of the wedding professionals that we met with and interviewed and talked with, everybody was so excited about helping couples, and it's taken us a few months to get to this place, but we want to do these lives every week because honestly, everyone's heart, I mean, Misty's donating her time to come and help couples, because in the planning process, there's a lot of questions, and it's really hard because you don't know who always to ask those questions to, and then and sometimes you just maybe feel silly for asking a question because you don't want to ask a dumb question. No question is dumb when you're planning a wedding, just an FYI. So that's why we're here. Top Weddings, the professionals that are on Top Weddings just are absolutely phenomenal, amazing. We have such amazing wedding professionals in the 417 area, but just so humbled and grateful for everyone that's a part of Top Weddings, because it's allowed us to be here with you guys today, and we really and truly, our heart is to help the couple. So
we're grateful for you for making this happen. It's a really great community.
Thank you. So if you're watching, we would love for you to share, like this post. Of course, give Misty some love. We would love that as well. So let's go ahead and do some shout outs, guys.
Well, we just had Jamie say, "Hey, you beautiful ladies." So she's watching.
We love Jamie.
We have,
and somehow I know which Jamie that is. You know, there's a lot of Jamies, but I know who that is.
And then from our Facebook group, we have Brittany, Anna, and Levi.
Yay!
Hello.
And then from our Instagram, we just had Abigail join.
Perfect.
And then we had Jenny, Party Bus Kings, Miss Ederberg,
Yay.
Sammy Johnson, and then a couple of photography pages.
Good,
Awesome.
good. Well, we are so glad you're all here, and hopefully you stay tuned. So we're going to be answering one question with everyone, and then we will dive into the other questions inside of our group. So,
Great.
so let's get started.
Let's do it.
Okay. So this is Misty, of course, with Misty Willinger Events. And Misty, just tell us about yourself.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. Yes, like Deb mentioned, I own Misty Willinger Events. I'm the lead wedding planner there. And I've been in the industry, gosh, I guess it's 5 or so years. The majority of that's been spent in St. Louis, but the Ozarks is home, so I'm so happy to be back here. My husband and I moved back last year, and now we're just full throttle planning tons of weddings this year. So I'm really excited about that. We have a little 6-month-old.
Oh, he's so cute.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Shout out to Crew. I'm sure he's watching with Dad right now.
Hi, Crew.
He's totally confused. But no, we're so happy to be back here, and it's been such just a welcoming community, which is why I'm so grateful for you and doing Top Weddings. Everyone really has kind of welcomed me back with open arms, so nice. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, you're pretty easy to welcome back. If you've met Misty, I think from the first time I met her, you just love her. Uh-huh. And then when we sat down and did the interview for Top Weddings, oh my goodness, just your heart and your passion, and not only for couples, but just for this community. And I love your genuineness, and that's huge to me, and we're incredibly blessed to have you. And you guys are all blessed to have Misty today as well, because this topic, I think, is one that a lot of people have questions about, but maybe don't understand what all a wedding planner does and all that good stuff. So tell us about the advantages of hiring a wedding planner.
Yes. Well, as a planner, I think there are many, but I will give you my top 3 that I typically drive home with all of my couples. Yes. And those are, as a planner, I'll save you time, I'll save you money, and hopefully at the end of it all, I'm able to lift a lot of stress off your shoulders. Which that all sounds great, but it's like, what does that really mean? So I kind of want to break down each of those. So
love that.
As far as time goes, right, when you get engaged and then you're fully committed to the wedding planning process, there's a lot that happens in those first few months, right? Yes. There's budget has to be created. There's just a ton of checklist items to get through. And so, we're really lucky here in the Southwest Missouri. We have hundreds of incredible wedding professionals in every category. So you don't have to go far to find exactly the right fit for you. But because we have so many amazing vendors and professionals, that's also very overwhelming for that couple that's newly engaged. So the timepiece on the front end, I'm able to really come in. I meet with my couples for a few hours, that first initial consultation, for many reasons. One, I want to build a great relationship because we really have to love one another, because we're going to spend a lot of time texting and chatting and meeting and coffee dates.
Absolutely.
But also getting to know them on a personal level, right? Aside with budget as well. But what's the most important aspect of your wedding? What are you looking for in a DJ and entertainment, right? So I pull apart all of those pieces so that then I can go back to the drawing board and really give them 3 to 5 recommendations in each vendor category that I think would be a good fit, not just on budget, but also personality wise, style. Everyone's so different. Just like we have a lot of great planners in the area, we're all very different as well. So I'm able to take away a lot of that stress in that beginning time to say, okay, here's my best 5 recommendations in each category, and then we'll set up consultations and book, which is great. So that typically, when I say that to couples, they're like, oh my gosh, thank goodness, because you could spend days and days going through pricing brochures and photos and websites. Right. So it's really helpful to pull that in for them. And then of course throughout the wedding planning process, I'm constantly assigning them different tasks to complete, and checklist items and due dates, and then all the way up to the wedding day, putting together that timeline. It's much easier for me to doing it for a living rather than a couple really trying to sit down and put the big puzzle together.
Right.
The second piece, we got to deal with that pesky budget, right? Money. So how am I going to save you money? Being immersed in the market all the time and knowing different vendors, right? when we talk about the budget and then we break it down by each category, every 5%, 10% you can save here or there, I mean, that adds up at the end of the day. So there could be some vendors that are always at the wedding shows, right? And if you book on the wedding show day, they'll give you a 5% discount. Or for certain venues, they'll run certain specials time of year when it's slower days of the week. So there's a lot of that insight that you just won't know right off the cuff, that I'm really able to help guide and consult them through that. The final one, stress. I mean, this is really important to me because, and I think you've probably dealt with this too, you talk to couples and they're just so overwhelmed and they're stressed and they're like, oh my God, let's just get married. Right. I'm ready to get it over with. And that breaks my heart because it's such a beautiful time in their life and a special moment to be have that cloud of just stress and worry. It's awful. So my goal is at the end of it all for my couples, their whole family, to be able to look back and be like, wow, that was really fun. That was enjoyable. We were present during the wedding day. We weren't always wondering what's next, right? Because that's my job, right? Let me worry and block and tackle about all of those things. And so it really does, just having someone in your corner that's going to block and tackle for you and pull everything together. It's a huge game changer for sure. Absolutely. So those would be my top 3, I think, that I would bring home. Okay.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. That's very, very helpful. And I, in just talking to you earlier, of course, we have a free PDF that you can, that has the layout of the timeline. And as we were creating that, it
snowballs.
It's snowballs.
Yeah.
It's a big list. And we want to be as detailed as possible so that any of our couples that use that, that it really was helpful for them. But, just in what you were saying, that you actually tell us about how you kind of tackle that.
Yeah, so typically what happens if you're newly engaged, you have a parent or a best friend, all in good faith, right? They gift you the wedding binder. And in this it's a little daunting because there's 700 pages of checklists. Right. And as the couple, it's like, oh my God, how am I even going to get through all of this and manage it? Right. I work with the wedding planning software, so we keep everything in one dashboard specifically customized to each one of my couples. I hide the big, scary, crazy checklist. I have access to that. But I task my couples out with things when we need them time-sensitive wise. Right. So, that first couple months, right, it's, booking key vendors, it's creating a guest list, save the dates need to go out by this date, right? So it's kind of homework for the couple, but I'm tasking them out in a much more reasonable manner rather than looking at the big picture and oh my God, how do I get there? It's we're going to get there, but we're going to do it, chunks at a time. And then, we send them daily reminders and monthly reminders, payment reminder, all of that streamlined so that it's just a calmer process than them thinking wow, I'm just never going to get.
Instead of them having to think of all the steps and oh my gosh, what's next, you're really handling already what's next. Yeah. They just get to focus on what you've given them for them. Right. And the nice thing about that is, I know for our 12 to 18 month, it's a big list, especially if you're planning, that far ahead. And so I love how as a planner, you guys are just taking that and saying, okay, this is what's first. And now that's done. So now let's work on these. So
there's so many different phases, even with stationery, right? It's phase 1, save the date. Phase 2, invitations. Yes. Phase 3, it's the day of stuff, table numbers, place cards, and so that can be, as a package, it's wow, that's a lot to do. But it's well, we're going to do them at different times. So it's really helpful for the couple. So it's this is what's right in front of you to focus on. And we're always working, a month or 2 ahead of time. So while we're sending out save the dates, I'm already working on, the invitations. Right. So it's really fluid. It works really well.
Yeah. That's really amazing. And I know just the stress that you take off, let alone all of, because it honestly, and I think that's why wedding planning can be so overwhelming, because from the moment that a couple gets engaged, they, most brides have been planning this day for a long time, and they jump in and they're all excited, and it really and truly it's that deer in the headlight look really quickly, and then all the decisions and all the overwhelming. And so for me, just watching how wedding planners take not make the decisions for you, but they are guiding you, which makes the process so much easier.
Yeah. We're really a team. I mean, between me, the couple, and if mom's involved or grandma, I mean, we work this together, and the checklist, it gets daunting because it can get so nitty gritty,
right?
So it's like things that you normally wouldn't think of, like it's like, okay, buy the guest book, buy the pen for the guest book, test the pen for the guest book, because you don't want to use it for the first time at the wedding and it not work because it's probably a special pen. Wear your shoes around the living room.
Which is something we just talked about, because I cannot tell you how many times I've been at a wedding and I am undoing the box of shoes. Like, I am taking out the paper to get them ready for, and that is, just little things like that, obviously that's why, that's why you're doing what you're doing, because those are big things that you don't think about. And, I always say, no matter how early you're planning, the last couple weeks before the wedding is always some of the most stressful, because it's all the little details. And, with you guys being able to step a lot of that, and because you already know about all those little details, which I feel like when, that's why when I think of a wedding planner, goodness, the stress that you're taking off of them, especially, like I said, with the whole planning process, but then all those little details right before, and then the day of. Tell us a little bit more as far as the day of.
Yes, so I will build out one master timeline that gets also nitty gritty, right?
Yes.
So it starts the day before the wedding, or if we're traveling from out of town, 2 days, whatever timeline that looks like. So I'll be at the ceremony rehearsal. That's where I get family, friends, wedding party lined up. Where to sit, stand, cue the music, all that fun stuff.
Yes.
I give copies of that timeline to the family, whoever wants one, so they know what's going to happen. And if anything weird pops up, just call me or text me, not the couple, so they don't have to stress. But that day of, it's really just guiding the couple through the day and the family, again, so they don't have to worry about what's next. So. Right. It'll start, with hair and makeup, rise and shine, all the way to completion. But I'm there to check in all the vendors, make sure they've got everything they need for setup, make sure the final look has come together, and then, lining up, for the ceremony, cueing them to walk down the aisle, cueing cocktail hour, making sure the photographer has everything they need, and then, first dances, introductions, cake cutting, all of those little details. Will be in that timeline, and be able to just work that list and really guide them through the day. So again, at the end of it, they look back and they were fully present,
right? And
not having
which is so huge. It's so important that on the day to be able to be in the moment, because otherwise it just goes by so fast anyway. But honestly, and them not having to worry. Is that getting done? Is that getting done?
Right.
Honestly, as a wedding planner, I think that is a huge part of everything that you do.
And it's just anticipating guest needs too. There's always going to be things that don't go exactly as planned.
Absolutely.
As an event planner, I know that it's all on how you react, and it's calm under pressure, and you just, you figure it out. And one thing I do hear a lot, at wedding shows when I'm meeting with couples, and we'll ask, do you have your coordinator yet? The probably the most common response is, oh, my mom's going to do it, or my best friend's going to do it.
Right.
And I always caution against that, just because it does take that day away from them. And if they don't do it professionally, it can get pretty overwhelming at times. So I always say, if you don't need a full wedding planner, at least at the very minimum, invest in a day of. I think the stats, 96% of couples regret not having a day of coordinator. Right. If they don't, they look back and they're like, wow, I should have made that investment. Really just so that everyone can be present, enjoy it, and look back and wow, we had a lot of fun. That's what we're here to do. At the end of the day, it's one of the happiest times, in their lives.
So true.
Let's have fun.
That's right.
While we're at it.
That's right. And I really do feel like a lot of brides feel like, oh my gosh, I can't, or a lot of couples feel like, oh my gosh, I can't afford one. For me, always check. Always the amount of stress that you guys are going to take off, and I think anybody that I have talked to, always at least check, because at the end of the day, it's worth it. I mean, it's honestly, for everything that you guys do and how you bring it all in and just like you said, when there's a lot of decisions that have to be made, and when the couple and the mom and the best friend or whoever is going to be helping them, if they can just be in the moment on the day, they will appreciate that so much.
I have a lot of moms that will book me. They'll call me. They're like, "Oh my gosh, please help me! I need help. This is my first wedding." And so a lot of it's like a gift for the parents for themselves,
right.
so that they can just like hang out and enjoy the day. So it's always, I've had several moms that have called me and be like, "Okay, I just need you to take the reins," and I'm like, "I got you. Let's go."
Right.
And then we get back on track. So no worries in that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a couple other, hopefully you found that incredibly helpful. I was so excited to have Misty here to tackle that question. And we have a couple other questions that we'll be finishing up in the group. And again, if you are engaged and you're planning a wedding, we would love for you to join us in our couples group, which is 417 Engaged Couples. And just